going back to your book, one of the chapters, which I love the name of it, it's called Healing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love it because it says a lot, right? It says a lot because with the word, it means broken, it means hurt, it might mean freedom. There's so much in there that you can be like, what is that to you? Like a little excerpt out of it. When you said that you walked away from professional sport and that you barely gave athletics a backwards glance, how do you still feel that way now? And how have you navigated retiring from sport? Because especially for someone who has literally done it within the last year, we've spoken numerous times this year alone. You've
Yeah.
helped me, which people don't know about. You've even helped me on this journey, and it is a journey. How do you feel now?
Oof. I I definitely I one thing I miss about the sport is probably the friendships. I miss the sport, but it was time for me to go. It was time. I'd done everything I needed to do. I talk in depth about how I was feeling in that moment in that healing chapter because that's literally how it felt. Like once I knew I was ready to retire, that was it. And just having like that big cry, it feels like grief because this had been part of my life since the early 2000s. And you think, oh, it can only go on for so long, but you don't know when. And then my old um, training partner, my former training partner, and friend and like sister Danielle Carruthers, a US hurdler. She was a massive big sister that I needed in the sport. She was huge inspiration to me. She gave me all the advice, and even when she retired from the sport, I was devastated for her because I'm just like, who am I going to look up to now? She's like, I'm always going to be here. I'm always going to give you advice. And I remember I was in a house in Atlanta one day and I was asking her, like, when you retired, how did you know that was it? And she's like, oh, you'll know. Don't worry, you'll know. I'm like, but how do you know? She's like, you will know. So once I remember being at the track that day and standing on the start line, and I was just trying to get through this session. And as the session was about to start, that's when I knew I was done. I just knew like that was it. And if you and you're trying to hold on for dear life, you're just thinking, oh, I think the session was like 150s, and like the person I was doing the session with, they were trying to chat to me and I was trying to listen to them, but I couldn't focus because really I was just broken inside. I was like devastated. It was like losing the one thing that you've had. And when I got home, I just cried. I was just doing that big ugly cry, and I hated it. But once I'd had my moment of grief, that was it. I was like, "Do you feel better now?" Okay, yeah. Well, let's start figuring things out. And you know, um, so in terms of whether I miss the sport, I miss competing. I don't miss the train. Definitely don't miss the training, but I miss competing. But I've got such a love and joy for it now because I'm watching it from the other side. Like to go to 3 Olympics and to sit and watch Tokyo 2021 in my house, like that brought me joy because one, I haven't experienced that in like 16 plus years. But two, I was so happy for all my teammates who'd made the team because I know exactly what it's like and seeing the highs and lows and watch them go through various levels of disappointment. I can relate to that. I can relate to that. So yeah, in that aspect, but also in terms of transitioning from the sport, did I find it difficult? I think a little bit. I did, but I also did research. So I spoke to Montell. Sorry, I spoke to Danielle. Spoke to her, asked her, what does your life look like now? I spoke to other ex-athletes who'd gone on to different careers. What does it look like? And they all pretty much said the same thing. It takes around 2 to 3 years for you to find stability and not have to drag yourself to the track because I knew I didn't want to be one of those athletes who, is like, oh, I'm too tired. No, I can't walk away from this. I need to go back or let me try and go to another Olympics. Like, no, when I was done, I was done. And I actually had fun. I missed out on so many things. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but like even things like going to carnival, going to brunch with friends, sleeping in, going to bed late, all of those things I could never really do before. So yeah, I really, really did enjoy it. And I just made sure I just had good guidance and good support from other people in terms of finding out what it was I wanted to do, and kind of figuring out those next steps, which has led me to yeah, my position in, you know, a pretty big firm, and being able to network and contact, and having that 9 to 5 job is my safety net for now, but then also having the book and doing other things as well has just widened my level of opportunity and my network. And people, you know, I'm grateful that people want to reach out to me, and they're like, yeah, we you know, we read your book, or we saw you on TV, or we saw the article, we didn't know you read a book, then they went out and bought it, and they're just like, yeah, we want to bring you into this. So yeah, it's definitely not an easy transition to make, but yeah, I'm just one of those people where I get bored very easily, so I'm always looking for the next thing. And whatever that may be, it might be a case where other athletes go into 9 to 5 jobs, or they figure things out. Whatever it is that you want to do it with passion, because it is hard to replicate that high from having the best job in the world, because it brought me a lot of happiness, a lot of success, but it also almost destroyed me at times. But you know, I would do it again in a heartbeat.